Hi, welcome to the Cassowary Coast Regional Council Community Grants Information Session. This particular slideshow is about the Community Infrastructure Program for 2024-2025. My name's Alice Hack. I'm one of the Community Development Officers at the Cassowary Coast Regional Council. Hopefully you can grab some insights into what this grant is about and also some tips and tricks about how to make your application an A+ application. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the Cassowary Coast Regional Council acknowledges the traditional custodians of the land and sea on which we operate, the Mamu, Juru, Girame, Golne, Warame, Jurabal and Banjan peoples. We wish to acknowledge our respect for their current and emerging leaders and those in the dreaming. We thank all First Nations people for the contributions they make in building this community. Some of the objectives of the Cassowary Coast Regional Council Community Grants and Support Program are to create opportunities for diverse activities, develop and maintain community infrastructure, strengthen our community through social inclusion, and to prioritise the natural environment. Cassowary Coast Regional Council has several different funding streams throughout the year. We've just completed the Community Projects and Initiatives first round, and we're looking forward to starting that round again towards the end of September. Tonight, I'm going to talk about the Community Infrastructure Grant, which is opened on the 2nd of September and will be closing on the 30th of September, 2024. Some other grants you may be eligible for, especially if you're viewing this from a community and recreational or sporting organisation, would be the $250 insurance support program, which is open year-round. To apply for this grant, you will need a certificate of currency, which is valid, and your receipt for paying for that insurance. All of our grants can be found on our website with the search engine of grants, and any eligible or open grants will be highlighted on that page. The objectives of the Community Infrastructure Program stream are to develop, renew, enhance or improve community facilities, develop public benefit and quality outcomes for the Cassowary Coast community, and to support sustainable and responsible growth and development for those organisations. The Community Infrastructure Program stream has a total funding pool of $125,000 for the 2024-2025 budget year, and it will be available for projects up to $30,000. Should this round be undersubscribed, there will be possible future rounds early in the 2025 calendar year. To be eligible for the Community Infrastructure Program, you must be a legal not-for-profit organisation or charity, must operate within the Cassowary Coast Regional Council area, must not hold any outstanding debts or outstanding grant acquittals or reports for this particular grant round, must have necessary insurances and permits, and you must have written permission of the leaseholder or a valid lease or an agreement in place or ownership of the building. Ineligible organisations or departments would be local, state and federal government departments or projects that are the core business of a government department. You must not be a for-profit entity or business enterprise or looking to do activities or programs that are purely for-profit. No retrospective funding will be given out in this round. However, if you have any outstanding financial issues to do with the flooding at the beginning of the 2024 year and are looking to pay for those projects which haven't been already covered via insurance or other government department grants and funding rounds, you may submit a retrospective funding application in this round. Recurrent and operational expenses will also not be funded. The application process can be up to 2 months in total, and we ask that all applicants take this into consideration. Your project should start and end after this application process. For example, the application portal will be open for 4 weeks and then close. After that, an eligibility week will be given if there are any outstanding documents or evidence that is required to improve your chances of being eligible. Community development officers will contact you and ask that you resubmit those documents. After the 5th week, all submissions will then be closed and an assessment panel will be formed and start making recommendations about the submitted applications. After that, the recommendations will go to the next council meeting, which could possibly be up to 3 weeks after that. So we ask that you keep this in mind when applying. The Community Infrastructure Program Stream assessment criteria will cover the alignment with Council's aspirations and strategic objectives. You must provide a demonstrated need and community benefit, and your organisation will need to show capacity to deliver the project. You've considered environmental sustainability and that you have a budget that is completed and is value for money. Tips for an A+ application, especially for the Community Infrastructure Program stream. We recognise that this grant stream will be very competitive, and we ask that all applicants take time and care when putting in for this application grant funding stream. To start with, talk to your group or organisation about the grants that are available and any projects which you may think are eligible. Draft a clear project plan, which can be in stages. Talk about small, medium and long-term goals with your organisation and how this and future grants might fit into that. Gather information, quotes, and check your feasibility and needs studies. Engage local suppliers and demonstrate community collaboration with other clubs or organisations that are in your region. Log into Smarty Grants as soon as possible. Familiarise yourself with the form, check passwords and logins. Set a realistic budget without a positive residual. In this example, we have a person or organisation who has put in for a $10,000 grant. They have given evidence in their budget that they would like to spend just over $6,000, but unfortunately they have not provided evidence or any further explanation of the leftover $3,600. So that final column, expenditure, that is what they have on hand, which could be a part of the grant plus their co-contribution, minus expenditure, which is everything that they've outlined here in their budget, and they've come up with a positive. So unfortunately, this project in its entirety would not be eligible. The final column should equal 0, so all of your money coming in should equal all of the money going out. Check that you have a current tenure agreement in place and request a letter of support or evidence of that tenure agreement. Give yourself enough time to gather resources early. You will have 4 weeks. Follow all the application instructions, adhere to the word limits, and make sure that you answer all of the required questions. Complete all the contact details correctly, and make sure that your best contact is contactable at those pinch point timeframes that I mentioned earlier. If you are going away and you have submitted a application or a submission, contact the community development officers and give a second or third contact in the event that you are away. This will make it easier for us to ensure that your project goes ahead and we can contact you directly. Clearly identify how receiving the grant will meet a need. This could be in minutes of a meeting, it could be feedback from an event, it could be pre-planning of how you would like to utilize your facilities. Ensure that you have included your AVN and noted if you have not-for-profit status. Check your bank details, and ABM and ASIC all say the same thing. For instance, do not use acronyms when you're submitting your application or on your bank details form. They all need to say exactly the same thing across all of those documents. Keep your application short, sharp, and succinct. Ask someone unfamiliar with the project to read the application before you submit it. Once you submit the application, you will not be able to access it again until we do the eligibility checks. We recommend you keep it as open as long as possible in case you do gather more evidence or documentation to support your application. If you have made a mistake, please don't hesitate to contact us. In emergency situations, we will be able to reopen it for you. If you're using AI to assist with your application, please triple check the simple errors such as spelling, and know that there is another Innisfail around the other side of the world, and sometimes AI will pick up that as well. Ensure that you've engaged with the necessary stakeholders. For instance, if you're building a fence, make sure you've contacted your neighbours. Maybe ask them for a letter of support. The Community Infrastructure Program stream will have three levels of co-contribution. If you're looking for $0 to $2,000, check in with us. Maybe you don't need to apply for this particular grant stream. Maybe there's a different funding area that you could apply for. However, if you still want to go ahead, there's no co-contribution required. $2,001 to $5,000, you will need a 10% either in-kind or financial, or a combination of those two. And then $5,001 to $30,000 will require at least a 10% financial contribution. A in-kind contribution can be volunteer hours. It can be a donation from your local hardware store. It can be fundraising activities from the girls down the road. That the in-kind just needs to be captured aside from the budget. Some ideas or case studies of previously successful applications: football field lighting, resurfacing netball courts, wooden fences, security cameras, security screens, and this year we're also up including planning and architecture. So if you would like to apply for a plan to be put in place or a master plan, this year you can do that as well. You can also use it for the co-contribution of larger state or federal grants, or as I mentioned before, the Gambling Benefit Fund grant, which will be open towards the end of this month. The assessment criteria is based on weighting. It's fairly evenly spread out, but it gives you an indication of what the questions will be within the assessment submission. And some frequently asked questions. You may apply in consecutive rounds only if your previously secured funding has been fully acquitted and reported. In saying that, if you've also applied for a RADF or the Mayor's Emergent Funding, you will not be eligible to apply for a community grant within the same financial year. The Council reserves the right to prioritise applicants who have not recently received funding, that means within the last year or two. An auspicing organisation may auspice multiple organisations simultaneously. So as long as there are no outstanding acquittals, you can demonstrate they have the capacity to do so. An auspice organisation is an organisation that may have more volunteers or financial capability to ensure that your project goes ahead, and they will be the recipient of the funding. If you're a smaller organisation, this may give you an opportunity to leverage that relationship. Again, call out to local stakeholders and other organisations to assist you if you need that. All grants and acquittals are completed online through the Smarty Grants portal on the CCRC website. No paper-based applications, acquittals or reports will be accepted, unfortunately. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact us at community@ccrc.qld.gov.au. The Community Services team are here to help you with your application and to encourage you and your volunteers to get to an A+ application. To find out where those grants are, visit www.cassowary.qld.gov.au/funding-grants. And if you do require a letter of support for this particular funding round, we highly suggest you go to your state or federal member or another minister of that kind. Only that council officers and councillors may be on the assessment panel and may not be able to assist you with a letter of support or with detailed project ideas. But please don't hesitate to contact the community development team if you're not sure. This will also include the mayor. If you have issues with your Smarty Grants login, Smarty Grants is the only one who can help you with that one. And also, just starting this month, Cassowary Coast Regional Council are really proud to also include the Smarty Search portal that allows you to look for other grants and funding opportunities, both locally, state and nationally, through a search engine. This is free for all users to access.